Today's guest is a filmmaker and overall creative. I was happy to spend some time with him and have a chat. Please give it up for the very cool, the very talented Mr. George Paul Knap. George, dude, thank you for coming on.
Of course, dude.
How are you?
I've been good.
Yeah? You're at Austin. You're in Houston.
Yes.
And was there a specific reason for the move?
Well, I moved in with my girlfriend for
Okay.
one because she lives in Houston, and also both of my parents live there. I lived in Austin enough, and also, I mean, like, benefits of moving in with your partner and having a roommate are kind of like a win-win.
Yeah.
And also, like, knowing everybody that I know in Houston, because I sort of like started creating video work in Houston and like kind of build like a network of people that I already know there.
Do you feel like you have a better network in Houston than you do in Austin?
Well,
Because I feel like out of all the people I know, you're always the most tapped in to like everyone else. You always know people doing things and...
yeah, I mean, I'd say overall, I've done more work in Houston just in general, but the Austin community is very sort of, well, at least for the communities I've been exposed to, they're very limited to sort of like comedy and different stuff like that. Not a lot of people in Austin that I know of really kind of do more, I'd say, like industry standard stuff, you know, from Houston to like elsewhere to like, you know, New York or LA or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'd say my infrastructure in Houston is a lot more intact. But I've been discovering kind of slowly, bittersweetly, that it really fluctuates on the seasons, you know? Like leaving a place and coming back to it, you sort of are like, do I really even know this place at all?
Yeah, so you think Houston's a different Houston than when you left?
Yeah, I mean, I lived in Austin for like 3 years.
Mhm.
So coming back to Houston is very different vibe from Austin, especially people that want to create. But people that are creating on a regular basis, they're very like firmly in Houston. And it's like a very well-oiled machine, but it's very different from how Austin is because it's very like very chill and suave and everyone's doing something every week. But in Houston, like they got these, you know, big shows every month or whatever that they're trying to like put all their chips into. And it's like they put a lot of pressure on like the whole thing. But
You think Austin does?
well, Houston.
Houston, okay.
Yeah.
Here, can you pull the mic a bit closer? And then,
Yeah.
so the reason that I had you on the show is because I think you definitely separate yourself in the sense of like you have so many interests and I feel like all of them are different creative aspects.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a very creative guy.
I'd say yes.
Have you always been that way?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'd say that I've always been kind of like by choice, very expansive and when it comes to like the approach of things, you know, kind of like, I don't know. Ever since I was a kid, I've always been very talkative,
Okay.
clearly, but at the same time, I think creativity has always been something that I really like cherish.
Mhm.
It's always been kind of like my core, I'd say.
Do you think that growing up that was like fostered in you? Do you have creative parents?
Honestly, I've been discovering a lot of like pictures that my parents had developed that are very like really well done. Like the photography of it.
Like the composition and everything?
Yeah, it's like really great photos.
Who is that? Is that mom or dad?
My father primarily on film, and then my mom took some digital photographs, but my father had a bunch of film cameras and had a great stuff on like Fuji and Kodak film stock. And you can't really like deny like that you sort of inherit some type of artistic stuff, but the nurturing aspect of creativity that I had, honestly, I was a part of a lot of art groups, like extracurricular wise.
Okay.
You know, I always like kind of pointed towards like theater and like art stuff. I was never a really good drawer, so I figured, how could I be like expressive in other ways? You know, because I just couldn't really get.
I'm
Like,
the same way. I totally get it.
I can't draw for shit.
Storyboarding is a fucking nightmare.
Storyboarding is like it's so hard for me to storyboard.
Thank God now with AI, dude. I've been storyboarding with all AI and it's like really helpful.
I love storyboarding with AI because it just takes like a little stick drawing, you can kind of describe it and it can make a mock of it and it's really useful. But yeah, I mean, I basically couldn't like get the traditional stuff down to be like super artsy. I could never like learn music theory and stuff like that. So,
but that's one of the things I think maybe was like a failure of my education system. Is it very much stressed if you don't know how to like draw or you don't know how to paint, then you're not artsy or creative. So there's no point in even trying to exercise that.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
there's so many other ways you could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Even in like, I imagine you could really use a lot of creativity in like coding or like programming that people, when we grew up, I mean, there was no chat about that.
Yeah, no. I was just thinking about this while I was driving today, where it's like there's never been a better time to go to college. I feel like
than
like right now.
Interesting. Why?
Because
I feel the exact opposite. I think college is such a scam, and like I'm going home on Thursday to Jersey to visit the parents, and like there's a part of me that they're like, "Ooh, I can't wait. Your daughter's gonna get a full ride to college." I'm like, "Not under my dead body." You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
so you don't want your kids to go to?
I mean, I want them
school?
to make the choice for themselves, but like, I don't think college helped me.
Right. Why do you feel that way?
Everything that I went to film school, and everything that I know how to do film wise, I taught myself outside of school.
Cool. How long were you in film school for?
I graduated 4 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, 4-year degree?
Yeah.
Shit.
Bachelor of Arts.
Holy fuck. See, I don't know if I can say fuck, but
you can totally say fuck. This isn't
fuck.
Okay.
But no, I dropped out of film school like 2 years in, and it was like kind of like 1.5 ish. I think it was probably 4 semesters in total, but I was just like the last 2 semesters I was totally just like checked out because I was working more than I was in film school. So I like dropped out, and I didn't get the chip of like finishing the degree and not being able to like get a good gig out of that. You know, like the completion of like the disappointment factor of like not getting what you thought out of film school because I just dropped out. But for me in college, I didn't really learn much at all.
Yeah.
To your point though, but for the structure of college that I had in like communications and like stuff that was more like tailored to like get you like I don't know, like I learned stuff in college that I now use in work often.
Like ways of thinking?
Kind of like
problem solving.
Good professors are really rare.
Yeah.
But whenever you get a good professor and a good program and a good like learning nurturing environment, I think that those things that you become on to like learn how to do kind of get nurtured in a college environment, versus like just straight out of high school into like the workspace. It depends if they have like creative inertia or like strategic inertia for like their job field or whichever. But I feel like college is kind of where you go to drop out in a way. Like like if you're gonna go to college and you can complete the degree, but if you go to college and drop out, that's also like a path to go. But I feel like because this is more like a projection from like my mom who's an immigrant. She's like, you go to college.
Of course, yeah. My parents say the same thing.
Like my brother has 2 degrees,
yeah,
and he's working on his 3rd now, and I don't have a degree at all. But I kind of have a 2-year degree, associates kind of.
Okay.
But not like any college stuff
But like all of my heroes, either college dropouts or they didn't go to college at all.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And like that's just, I think maybe if you're gonna be a lawyer, go to college. Yeah. If you're going to be a doctor, go to college. If you're going to be an engineer or a computer programmer, go to college. Those are all important things. But I think when your job is like a creative field, college is kind of pointless because it's going to teach you how to do it like other people do it. And you would have been better off just like getting a job as a PA on set, or even better, make your own shit for cheap. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think one of the biggest things that college fucked with me is like it taught me how to analyze film in a way that I didn't know how to before. And now I'm like a perfectionist on my own work. Yeah, and it didn't make it any better. I think I was kind of robbed. I feel robbed, I guess. And like maybe that's just privileged bitch energy.
No, I feel that though, because learning in college, I feel like are way different in a way. Like I learned sort of nothing in film school, kind of like I learned the basics, but it was just enough to like get like it seemed. I don't like curriculum learning.
Yeah,
I think learning on the fly through experimentation and application is like the only way you can actually progress as a skill, So for me, it's like the hands-on approach in filmmaking and creative work in general. Like for me, I really looked at the creative process for filmmaking and just any kind of visual work as like a tactile thing, Like you need to get your hands dirty and like engross it into whatever art form that you're doing to really learn and grow and like have those creative challenges. And like you said, I totally agree with you with the PA stuff. Like I literally did. I was working from. I woke up at 6:30 today to be a PA on set from 7:30 to I think we wrapped at 4:30 ish.
Yeah, it's a long. And then you came here, which
Yeah,
I
yeah,
appreciate,
yeah.
but that's a long fucking
Yeah,
day.
yeah. It was just. I mean, like PAing is kind of easy because breakfast was provided, so
Mhm.
I just showed up on set and kind of helped out a little bit. Like I feel so terrible for gaffers sometimes because they're unloading from a truck,
Yeah.
and I'm a PA, and I'm like. Hey, what do you guys want for lunch?
Yeah.
What do you guys want? Do you guys want some water? You guys want?
But here's the thing, like being able to talk to a gaffer, which like let's be honest, like a gaffer is just like an electrician on a film set, right? Like
Yeah,
these are
basically.
tough dudes that are just
Yeah.
picking up heavy lights and they've done it a million times. And
Mhm.
I think oftentimes a lot of the maybe creativity or inspiration isn't really involved in their job. It's kind of like, oh, I just have a job to do. I'm in, I'm out, I'm going home.
Yeah, oh
And
my
that's
God, yeah.
important, I think, to learn the business side of it and to be like, oh, I need, like, how can I put it? It's at that point it becomes craft, you know, like you
Yeah.
can make it like skill or art, but just like a carpenter knows how to make the fuck out of a table, like these
Mhm.
gaffers, they know how to do it. And that taught me more about filmmaking than sitting in a room watching Psycho over and over again.
Right. I feel that. Also, you know what's crazy? I was just thinking about this. It depends on the practitioner, right? It depends on the toolsman who's applying their skills, right, with their tools. Some of the gaffers I've met are very like emotional about how they light scenes in a way.
Sure.
It
Well, are you
becomes-
saying gaffers or DPs?
Well, people who light scenes.
Okay.
Like that's their job
Yeah.
is to light the subject, and then there's the camera person who records the camera and like kind of like sets the the lens language with the camera.
Yeah.
But there's some gaffers that I've met. I guess technically they're just electricians, but I think I'm using the term gaffer as like the person who lights the scene and kind of like creates the
Mise en scène.
Yeah, well, it's the visual language that defines the dynamics of the frame in a way,
Mhm.
Like Wes Anderson has a very specific style of lighting for his scenes. It's very kind of flat, but with very heavy colors and saturation,
Yeah.
And some
Wait, I don't want to interrupt,
No,
but
please,
quick
yeah.
question about Wes Anderson.
Mm.
People are arguing, I think, a lot
Mm.
with him specifically that he's going form over function. He is more interested in like the preciseness of the filmmaking than the actual storytelling. How do you feel about that?
Do you like The French Dispatch?
It wasn't my favorite.
What did you not like about it?
I couldn't sink my teeth into it.
Do you think it skipped a lot, or
Yeah,
was
I mean, it
just
was jumpy.
Did you like? I liked The French Dispatch a lot.
Yeah.
Funny story about The French Dispatch. I was in. My mother's from Colombia. We have a ranch out there. So there's two houses on the ranch. There's the old house and the new house that my aunt built because she's a architect, and it's kind of modern and has like sliding doors and stuff, and it has a good TV. So my grandma was there eating dinner, and we were starting a fire outside, and I put on The French Dispatch for her because I hadn't seen the movie, but I was like, this is gonna rock. So I put it on for her, and then I walked back inside after fucking with the fire for a little bit, and like the naked lady is just posed up there, and my grandma's just like. And I'm like, oh my God, oh shit, oh fuck, oh shit. And then I'm just like, I kind of just like I fast forward it, a little bit just to, but I that's the funniest thing ever about that film is that my poor grandma had to see like this woman's tits.
Had to. Oh my God.
But I really like the way, I think form over function, his form is formidable, but function of a film always needs to be priority, I think, for any moviegoer to actually like.
When you're watching a
get it.
Wes Anderson film, at no point do you forget you're watching a movie.
Do you forget sometimes that you're watching a movie, or do you get sunk into it?
You're
totally?
just in the story so much you don't realize that like, oh, this is me enjoying a piece of art.
I'd say that Wes Anderson.
Maybe like Grand Budapest, but like
Grand Budapest is good.
I liked
it's a
Henry
great film overall.
Like if we're going Wes Anderson, more of the recent stuff like Henry Sugar, it was interesting. And it was like a feat of filmmaking that he's able to do that, especially during the pandemic and everything. But like I'm watching it and it feels more like I'm watching like a stage play.
I can agree with that.
Which when I'm watching a stage play, I know it's a play. Like I can suspend my disbelief to a certain amount, but like I know it's a play. Whereas like if I watch a Christopher Nolan film, I kind of I'm confused as fuck, but like I am in it at least.
I see what your point is. I feel like the staging of Wes Anderson films is very presented like, the audience is is here and the film is that way. So it's kind of just like a windows into the world instead of getting into the world.
Because there's that distance.
Yeah, there's that symmetrical.
Almost like the distance between the audience and the stage.
I am a big fan of asymmetry in all things, but at the same time...
Wait, you're a big fan of symmetry or asymmetry?
Asymmetry, yeah. I think it's good to not have total balance in a frame. And Wes Anderson focuses totally on symmetry.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what you're talking about, where it's like he kind of just keeps it awake, because to have that perfect symmetry, you need to have like a certain distance away from engrossing into it. Because, you know, with Nolan films, you almost feel like it's around you, and surround sound and the way he designs his sound is very engrossing and like totally impactful, like you know, gets your heart beating and stuff like that. But I feel like Wes Anderson films are kind of like artsy fartsy in that sense, where it's kind of like you can just watch it and not even understand what the fuck's going on and be like, yeah, that's good shit. You know?
See, I do feel smarter when watching it.
Yeah, there's a certain level of like being pretentious and kind of a prick to like enjoy that in a way. And I think it's the same with like Michael Bay films. Yeah, you know, because it's not really for the purpose of leading a story into a good place. Or its characters. It's more so like this is the world of, in a way, or like, you know. And I think that's important for people to like, because I think at the end of the day, film culture is around those moments where it's like, oh, that was that moment, and this is that moment there that I really enjoyed. But the storytelling sometimes, you know, like characters define stories and stuff like that. But what I've been a big fan of recently has been just like writer-directors in general, you know? There's been a lot of like writer-director couples and like production in-house like writers, you know?
We've talked a lot about Ari Aster, right? He's a writer.
Yeah, I love Ari Aster. I think Ari Aster's one of the best directors right now working.
So you very much like a solo vision. You like someone that, like a Quentin Tarantino, this is my idea. Everyone is working to make this idea work, rather than like, let's collaborate with everybody and figure out what works best.
I think they're both good.
I think sure. But like in terms of like your favorites tend to be that, right?
I'd say if I'm for film, For television, I think it's best to have a lot of people involved. Like if it's an episodic storytelling thing, I think it's best to have it's good to have multiple flavors, you know. I think each episode is better off having, you know, multiple directors of the same sort of story than just one continued director. But I do also like singular visions. Personally, I do like singular visions a lot more, just because if it's really good, then you really like can root for that world and that voice that they have or whatever, like that writer's voice in a way.
Yeah. Also, maybe this plays into it for you, but for me, typically writer directors are working with a much smaller budget, and so I feel like that forces them to be more creative.
Yeah.
Figure out the problems in a different way.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I think I think the smaller the budget, the better it might turn out. Keyword might, because, you know, budget constrains a lot of things, but if you have the right people and the right team and the right vision, excuse me, I think you can really like it's really about your team and like how you want to go about like utilizing your team. But I think whenever you remove the money element from the creative process, but also like that constraint's good, you know, for the topic of like, you know, having a really finite amount of resources. I think some of the best films are like early directors' films, you know, like God, I just had it in my head. I'm blanking a little bit, but
Clerks for Kevin Smith.
Yeah, stuff like that. And also like you know, Nolan's Memento and Ari Aster's short films in the beginning. Yeah, no, they're crazy. They're just so like, they're my favorite thing ever because they're so low budget and random. Like, it looks like they're filmed on a potato, edited on like a Windows XP computer, and it's like they encapsulate the spirit of the film so well, and it's really cool to see a director's vision like start small and get bigger, especially if they're able to keep the same levels of like you know, motif language in their work, like as long as it's continuous and can like grow and you know. But I really do like.
So when you say that you want to watch your artists grow, does that mean that you're willing to let them experiment and with things that you don't like, or you want them to stay in the same world but just tweak?
I think experimentation is always to be encouraged. I
Mhm.
think people need to be, especially in the creative sense, in the field, in the medium of film. I think people need to be as like to the wall as possible. Like one of my favorite directors that does both television and film, but I think their television work is the best that they do is Taika Waititi.
Oh, okay.
Like in
What we do in the shadows?
yeah, What We Do in the Shadows, and there's a couple other shows that he's done, like
The Flight of the Conchords?
Planet of the Conchords. Yeah, yeah. I think he just has like this quirky,
You know,
fast-paced thing.
He has such a great like energy to his films, and I've been watching that a lot more because, well, we just dropped Waitresses today, which is my first ever. We'll call it a short film, I guess, or a web series.
Yeah.
I've never directed anything before.
I was gonna ask you that was your first time directing?
First time directing something, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun as hell, and I have been writing a bunch of other stuff that I want to do now. Like I want to keep fucking going. You know what I mean? Like I got the bug.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I love about Taika Waititi is his films, they feel like a modern like John Hughes film to me. It's less Americana, but it still has that like lovable, like maybe family aspect, but like adult family. Like the Taika Waititi movies are like the movies that you show when your brother turns 12 and he feels cool sitting up with the older kids watching the movie, but everyone enjoys it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
I feel like Taika Waititi films are kind of like the television series that 30-year-old roommates enjoy with each other.
Okay.
You know? Like
yeah, but there's like real heart there. It's not
it's
just...
because like imagine like, you know, like there's 3 or 4 roommates in their mid-30s living in New York City. I feel like Taika Waititi series are kind of like stuff where, because I've had a few roommates in my time living like in apartments and stuff like that. I had like 4 roommates once, and like the television show that you pick has to be like really good.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to put on a stinker. Like you got to put on like some great like.
But are you rooming with like film guys, or are you rooming with like bros?
My personal roommates, they weren't that creative, but I
Okay.
can imagine if they were, if I was living with all my creative friends,
Yeah.
like, and we're all like living somewhere, like it would be a television show like Taika Waititi's work that would be like what would be on.
You think that would work?
Because it'd be a smart, like, you know, like a smart take on something that's funny.
Yeah.
In a way. Like it would be my pick if I was like on the radio disc.
It's a fair choice. Earlier you brought up the idea of like having your team. Do you think you have a team? You know your creative team?
I'd say I could get a team together. I'm kind of a one-man wolf pack when it comes to creative work.
You prefer it that way?
Not really. I'd say that it just kind of is. It just happens with my friend group. They don't really. Well, my core friend group aren't really active creators. They're more so just creative in general. Now they're starting to get more involved in their own work. Like a lot, they finally started buying their own cameras and working on stuff. But I do have a lot of friends that are in the creative field that are just like, if I called them and had something ready, we could get a team together, like a DP and a lighter guy, like a gaffer, a DP, and like a sound guy, because I do sound. So like it's like having a team kind of depends on what you're doing. But I could probably get a team together. But
I guess it's not like can you find a team. More my question is like, I find when you look at like a lot of the super successful people, they have these team members that they continually work with time and time again.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I feel like that's been very difficult, you know, throughout my career of like, I've always had these ideas of things that I want to go out and do. But, you know, when you're around stand-up comedians for the most part, they're very lazy and they kind of shit on any creativity. Not like actual creativity, but like the idea of creativity they shit on. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I feel like people are prone to have a say. You know, I feel like stage time has corrupted people's minds sometimes whenever they have a lot of stage time and have like worked out jokes they've written or things that they've written. Sometimes they feel like they have a premium say, which is like this term I'm using for like having a sense of misplaced confidence in your writing ability. You know?
Yeah, I'm an expert in this.
Yeah, it's like, oh well, you don't write or you don't perform work.
Do they slash you a lot of your ideas off?
Well, but in the beginning, whenever I just was like, in the way I kind of came into the comedy world.
Yeah, can you back up and tell me how you even entered the comedy world? Because I knew you just as like already in it.
Well, the background essentially is a buddy of mine was working. Do you know the guy Victor Martinez Jr.?
The High Tonight Show.
Yeah, the High Tonight Show. That was kind of the way I got my foot in the door because they wanted some. Like I just helped out like as a PA basically, like a volunteer PA, and I had a bunch of camera gear and stuff that I just like was at my apartment because I just wanted to like be a fly on the wall and be like,
Sure.
"What's up? I don't know how to do nothing." Like, I just wanted to just to see what the vibes were.
Be in it, and that's smart.
Yeah, I was just like, there's no pressure, at the same time, right? So it's like, I'm not going to be obligated to put on a show or pull through and work my ass off to prove a point that's already agreed upon. It's more so I get to create on my own terms and engage in my own terms, right?
Yeah.
So I basically did the High Tonight Show for a little bit. That was my first time getting to Creek, but at first, I basically shot there for a while, and then I heard of Sunset Strip because of Secret Show, and then I met Yonder Wizard, and I was doing the Secret Show pre-show with him for a while that he would post on YouTube. So that's why I ended up at Sunset. So I was doing stuff at Creek, at Sunset, and then I was working on Good Evening News with Jack Timmons and all those guys, and that's kind of how I got like a weekly rotation of doing work, like at the different clubs and stuff.
And how did it feel being a film guy in a comedy world, in a stand-up world?
I loved how everybody was a writer. I loved how everybody had I never really understood the art form of stand-up comedy and comedy craft and joke crafting and that kind of stuff until I came to Austin and saw like comedians like Casey Rocca and these guys, like they would be on stage and put on a wild show. And at the time, I was like doing drugs, so I was like, "No, these guys are wild." And then I meet them, and they're backstage, and they're completely like different from how they are, but they're very focused in their craft. Like before they get on stage, and it's not limited just to the people I've mentioned. It's like a lot of comedians that are on their A game. They're backstage just like,
yeah.
And then they get on stage, they rip, and then they come down, and they're kind of just like their own personality. Like they're not even really trying to engage with people because they're so. Like
one track minded.
They got 2 more mics that they're doing later. So the level of dedication to crafting a good bit and workshopping it, I thought it was really fascinating. So because coming from a film background, there weren't a lot of people that were really focused on the script. Like the script was something that not even the director fully read, and that
really,
well, I mean, it just felt like. It was like, all right, well, the script is the job of the actor to read and know their words, know their lines. I'm supposed to know the scene, and they basically, they skim through the script, but they don't like know it. Like they just like have a basic foundation of what the script is, and then their job is just to keep the show running, keep the ball running for different scene captures. Like they're kind of just the general that points the way where it's like, all right, we're doing this setup, now we're doing this setup, and then
so there's not as much passion there.
Oh, I mean, the passion is not really the point. For those kind of films, like this, I'm talking like movies that are filmed in Houston, like in Third Ward, like like I worked on a lot of Tubi films as a sound guy, and so a lot of them are just like like Third Ward, The Next Generation, and I'm not knocking. I love those.
I don't even know. I know Tubi has like a vibe.
Well, it's just like it's like black cinema, It's like ghetto films is what they're called a little bit, and I worked on a lot of those films in Houston whenever I first started out, and it was a lot of fun. But there
Who writes those?
It's just writers. They're
like
writers.
they're not on set.
No,
they write it, they send it off, and then they work on another one.
They send the script out to their music video directing cousin, who has a film crew brewing. Like maybe one of their sons or one of their friends wants to be a filmmaker, and they're like, man, we've been making videos for Gucci Mane or whichever. For how long? We can get a film crew together. Yeah, we can get cameras, we can get microphones, we can do cutscenes.
I love that. Honestly, I fucking love that shit.
So
I thought it'd be so fun to make a Tubi movie. Can I do that? Can I make a Tubi movie?
Yeah.
You can sell it to Tubi?
Yeah. Yes. You can.
Bro, I want to make a Tubi.
You could just pull up and be like, hey, if you just make the movie, pitch it, you can like try to figure out a distribution deal after, because it's really a lot of these films are like, we're gonna be on this probably, but they don't like, they're just saying we know how much it costs to get on the platform.
Yeah.
Versus like, oh yeah, we're gonna be on this platform. Like it's kind of like a handful that might take your film after you've made it. So they kind of make these films either as a tax write-off or just like, fuck it, we got this budget that we funded and sourced.
Yeah.
Either through investors or whoever, and they're like, come on, man, you available? We're gonna pay this much for this amount of days, and you're like,
Is it good money?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God. The first time I did my feature film as a sound mixer, I walked away with like north of like $3,100, and I probably worked like 2 weeks, and I was just like getting these checks that had like a lot of money, and I was just like, I'm doing film work right now.
That's awesome.
I'm like, I am getting paid. I was
Fuck
like,
yeah,
this is
dude.
awesome. I was like, this is great, because they had crazy budgets. Feature films. If you're doing full sound, I think I charged like $570 a day, and it was like a 16-day shoot. But that was like the initial idea for some things, and then it gets broken down between who you're working with. So if you have a team, it's like you get to split that halfway, and then you split it like other ways, and then there's a bunch of expenditures that happen after that, and then so you walk away with a few grand or like whichever you work on. But
Yeah.
I remember the project I think that I did was like $275 a day, and I think it was like 12 days that we worked. So it came out to a certain number, but it was really.
How do you get involved in that? How do they get to the point where they go, George, what's your day rate? Is it just PAing on different jobs, then you get invited here, invited there, meet this guy?
If you get involved in the film community in Houston, it's more so about getting involved with the it's kind of like word of mouth is how I've been able to get recommended by people. Film school in Houston, I went to HCC, and I studied for applied science and filmmaking for about 4 semesters or so. And I met a bunch of people, and we all collectively dropped out around the pandemic because film school all of a sudden wasn't really worth it. And because we went from having, Blackmagic cameras to shooting on our iPhones in our apartments. And I was like, why am I paying for this?
Full tuition, though.
Yeah, it was just like, I'm not doing this. So we all dropped out and started working on different projects. A few people finished, but I just was like, I don't want to do this.
I only finished because my parents wanted me to have a degree.
I was so close to finishing. I should have. I might go back to school this fall just to finish my film degree.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I mean, it's because I'd be better for it just to have as like a certification for my website.
What's the goal for you?
For my goal for film is
not for film. For you.
My goal. What's my goal? I'd say my goal for the next few years, like my goal for like this time next year is to have, like, I want to write more. I want to write stories and like dialogue a lot more effectively within the next few years, because I've been sending out stuff I've written, like scripts that I've written that I've been really like protective over for the last few years, like since like 2020 to 2022. I've written a few different pilots to television and stuff like that, and just stories that are really dialogue focused and like just the format of script writing. And I finally have been brave enough to just like go on Facebook groups for like writers or whatever, and I like, who wants to read a pilot? And some people are like, hello George, I want to read your pilot.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, like people from like
I'll read your pilot if you show Bob's.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like some random person in like Catholic from India is like, I'll read your draft. And I've been sending it to them, and I've been getting good feedback.
Good.
Which is weird, because I didn't know what I was expecting, but I was like, I'm either gonna delete these.
Why not just film it though? You know how to do it. You could do it.
Mainly for me, the reason why I don't film a lot of stuff that I write, for the most part, has been because I just want to. I like the writing. I like to keep it just written.
Okay.
I don't know if that's normal, but like keeping it, I kind of just like writing it instead of doing anything with it.
Fair enough. It's
like,
an exercise, I guess.
I like getting the written word out, so I can see it and keep it, rather than have it go out and worked on.
But so would you like to be, best case scenario, you want to get paid to screenwrite?
Yeah, I think it'd be great.
Okay.
But
then you wouldn't be involved in the actual filming process?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think it would be easy. It would be best if I direct what I write, mainly because coming from an actor's background, I know what it's like to be an actor, and I know what it's like to receive good direction and bad direction. And I think the way that because I started directing like probably last year, and like you said, like whenever you direct the first time, it's like you really do get like a directing bug, you know?
It's also kind of like the first time you have sex because you're like, I don't know what the fuck I've been doing.
Yeah,
I've been watching videos for years. I thought I knew what I was doing. I didn't. Do you know it goes up?
Yeah, I think directing is like, because I also like, I don't know about you, but I'm a big summer camp advocate.
You mean like theater camp or like just a regular summer
just
camp?
Just like the summer camp mentality, like going to summer camp I think it's like a product of being a divorced kid.
Fair enough.
But,
are you Jewish?
No, I'm not Jewish.
Okay, because I feel like it's a Jewish thing. But
summer camp?
Yeah, huge Jewish thing.
Really?
On the West Coast. Yeah.
That's interesting as fuck.
Yeah, well, in fact, back in like the 60s and 50s, there were these little summer camps all up in the Catskills in upstate New York, and that's where all the Jews from New York would go to.
What the fuck?
And they'd say they're all summer. Have you ever seen The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel? They literally cover that in the 3rd season. They're like, yeah, the Jews all go to summer camp.
I remember...
Weird that they go to camps now.
That's
voluntarily.
I was just thinking that. I was like, that's that's what it was. The Jews, man.
No. But so you're saying summer camp?
Well, summer camp, it's kind of like they teach you leadership stuff a little bit. Like you become yourself at summer camp. I feel like, especially if you come from a background of being like pressured where you're growing up. Going to summer camp, especially depending on the group that you're with and who's directing the camp and what the mythos of the whole process is. I was very fortunate enough to go to a summer camp in Texas that was very focused on like spirit, mind, and body and like, you know, like core values and stuff. And out of that, they had a lot of cool extracurricular stuff that would promote like creative work and stuff like that. And I think as a director, it's good to see people with good leadership skills who teach leadership to other people. Yeah. And once they start young, there's different tiers of how you direct leadership in a way. Like once you go through the levels and you kind of see it. For me, I was never really a camp counselor, but I would see how these young people would blossom into their own sort of creativity in a way. And I know for myself, I saw a lot of benefits from growing up around good leaders in a way. And I feel like directing film is a lot of like being a camp counselor in a way, because like, all right guys, does everybody have their waters? Is everybody drinking? Is everybody healthy? Is nobody dead? All right, are you guys ready to do this weird film thing? You know, because I feel like a lot of times directing is like reining in others' anxieties. Yeah, you know, because some people are so anxious. I mean, the first time I worked on a project where this one team member freaked out. Just totally like, I mean, it was bizarre because their parents were there and they were in their early 30s, but their dad was just kind of like on set with him. And we were just like, that's cool. There's a sound guy. And all of a sudden we go on to like where we're going to film. And admittedly, the producer who wrote the thing and was leading the production was kind of wild. Like he packed everybody into his Audi Q5 and drove us to this abandoned mall and like had a bolt cutter and like cracked it open and was just like totally broken entering into an abandoned mall. And his dad, the guy who was working on it, ended up being a retired state trooper and was drinking like half Sprite, half Tito's in his Whataburger cup. And I was like, boys, I'm sorry, boys. This is like a crime. We're going to real trouble for this. And then his son started freaking out, and he was like, "No, Dad, please. And it was just like, huh? And then like clearly, so I think it might have been the DP also, or like so, he had a big cabin, like a trailer filled with like lighting stuff and everything, and then they just took off from the Airbnb, and I was like.
The cop and his son just left?
Yeah. The drunk cop, and so like that night they just drove off like back to where they were from, and they were like from out of state, and like it was
with all the equipment.
Yeah, well, for like a good portion of all the stuff was just taken.
And now it's like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, it was like, what the shit's going on? Like we basically didn't have a film after that, but the guy just got an Airbnb for the night. That's all he had ever like done scheduling wise for this whole thing. It was like the script was done, but like it was like 46 pages of like military dialogue, wild shit, and I was gonna be in it, and I was just like, I'm just gonna read the words on the day. I'm not gonna give a fuck about reading this right now. Yeah, like it was so crazy, but. Back to the thing about directing, the guy was so out of his mind. And the director, writer, leader of the project was just totally a nut job. Like, I love the kid, and he probably knows who I'm talking about if he's watching this. And he's dope, though. He was very tenacious, but, you know, if somebody's with their parents, or so if a parent's, if someone's, if it's like not just the homies going on some scout mission shit.
Yeah, you got to be aware of everything.
If we're shooting tomorrow morning, bright and early on set, and our location is an abandoned mall, and we're breaking and entering.
Yeah.
Like, you have no permission at all to do this.
See,
it's crazy.
You want to hear the second half of this conversation? Just go over to my Patreon. All of the second half of the episodes are there, plus a lot more bonus content. It's patreon.com/thejimmyclifford. I'll see you there.